Alright, before we get started with this video, this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard from a government official. Please listen.
And then you have to be alive first to get certain things changed or corrected in your country. If he had said, I'll do my medicals in Nigeria just as a show-off or something, he could have long been dead, because there may not be the expertise needed in the country. But he needed to be alive to be able to lead the country to a point where we will have that expertise. So those who glibly talk of going abroad, they don't know that a man needs to be alive.
Wow, can someone please help me tell this empty-head Femi Adesina that this same man is talking about inaugurated 21 billion naira presidential medical center? What was the money used for? No better for these people. Hello guys, welcome back to our channel and thank you so much for stopping by. So it is official, after years of mysteries, denials and speculations, Nigeria's former president Muhammadu Buhari is officially dead. But as the country digests the news, the question on every thinking Nigeria's mind is not just what killed him or how he died. The real question is, when did Buhari actually die? Because according to official report, Muhammadu Buhari passed on July 13th, 2025 at the age of 82 in a London hospital, not in Abuja, not in Daura, not even in any Nigerian hospital, but in the arms of a foreign system like so many of our so-called leaders before him. And that right there is already a disgrace. This is a man who ruled for 8 years, controlled the entire federal structure, had access to billions in healthcare budget, yet when it was time to face death, he chose the United Kingdom, not Nigeria. Why? It is simple. They don't build standard hospital in Nigeria because they never plan to use them. They don't trust the healthcare they provide for the people. They don't fix the clinics in your community. They don't equip the emergency room in public hospitals. They don't upgrade our teaching hospitals, but they fly abroad for headaches. They take our taxes and outsource their survival. You will never hear of a British Prime Minister flying to Lagos for cancer treatment. You will never hear of a US President being rushed to Gwagwalada Special Hospital. You won't see a Ghanaian or Rwanda leader fighting for space in a Nigerian hospital. But Nigerian president, Nigerian leaders, they fall sick and the first flight is to London. And we've seen this move before. Yar'Adua died abroad. Countless top officials have died abroad. And now Buhari, the same man who promised change, has died far from the land he ruled. But here is where it gets strange. Nigerians didn't react with national mourning. They reacted with confusion, with question and with silence, because the announcement didn't close the story. It reopened an old one. A story that has been buried, mocked and dismissed for 8 full years. A story with one name at the center. Of course, Nnamdi Kanu. Now, before you roll your eyes, listen. In 2017, during Buhari's long and mysterious medical absence in the UK, Nnamdi Kanu, leader of IPOB, made a claim that shook the country. He said, Buhari is dead. What they brought back from London is not Buhari. He is a man named Jubri from Sudan. It sounded weird. It sounded insane. People laughed. People dismissed him. The media called it propaganda. But Kanu did not stop there. He staked Biafra on it. He said, I stake Biafra on it. If I am lying, I will drop the Biafra cause, apologize to the whole world, and let the government do whatever they wish with me.
Buhari is dead and I'm prepared to stake Biafra on it. If you, Dele Momodu, can go and prove to me, I'm not asking you to do anything too complex. If you can go and ask this man you call Buhari, whoever it is in Asarok, to come outside, don't do very much, address a panel of Nigerian youths, maybe 20 of them, and speak Buhari's mother tongue, which is Fulfude. I will give up Biafra. I will apologize to him, and I will submit myself to any authority on this earth to do with me as they please. There is no Buhari. Jubril was there. Jubril followed Abba Kyari to Cuba and ran away from there and never came back.
Since then, he's been arrested, detained, brutalized, but even with all that power in their hands, the DSS, the presidency, the entire Nigerian legal system, no one has ever charged Kanu for defamation over that specific statement. No lawsuit, no counter evidence in court, no demand to prove his accusation was false. Someone made such a bogus accusation about number one citizen of a country, and you have him in custody. Until now, nothing is said about that particular accusation. Nothing. And in 2025, 8 years later, what Kanu said in 2017 suddenly feels not so ridiculous like some people said in the past, because there is something else he said, something many Nigerians missed, but it is still chilling today. He said, when Buhari finishes his term, wait 2 years, then they will announce his death. Let's do the math. Buhari handed over to Tinubu on May 29th, 2023. His death was announced on July 13th, 2025. That is 2 years and 6 weeks, exactly as Kanu said. Do we call that coincidence or confirmation? And that is why Nigerians aren't just mourning. Nigerians are not just mourning. They are reflecting, because suddenly all the strange signs from back then are making sense. Now, let's put emotions aside for a moment. Let's forget the memes, the jokes, the Jubril chants and protests and rallies. Let's ask a serious question like adults living in a republic. Why didn't the Nigerian government ever defend Buhari's identity in court? Not in 2017, not in 2018, not even in 2021, when Nnamdi Kanu was fully in DSS custody and has been taken to court for several times. Now, the Nigerian state, armed with intelligence agencies, legal muscles and propaganda machinery, never filed a single defamation suit against him over the explosive accusation. Not one. They've jailed him for terrorism, for incitement, for secessionist activity, but never for the core thing that introduced him to the global spotlight. But now, in 2025, with Buhari officially declared dead 2 years after leaving office, the silence is starting to rot. Let's go back to Eric Joyce, the former British PM, who in May 2017 tweeted that Buhari had died in London. Not based on gossip, not from a tabloid. He said he was told by people close to the matter, and he was so convinced, he tagged Aisha Buhari directly and offered condolences. You don't tweet that unless you are very, very sure. But a few months later, backlash began to rise. Joyce released a retraction, or at least he tried to. In that follow-up blog post, he claimed that he had been misled by what he thought was an official Router report. Remember that Router is a very credible news outlet, which he also confirmed in blog post. He blamed a Cambridge Analytica and even hinted that a Nigerian in London may have deceived him. But here is the thing. The retraction was full of uncertainty. Not just that, he never deleted the original tweet, the same tweet that said Buhari is dead and sent a condolence message to Aisha Buhari. That tweet is still sitting there on the internet. His page, to be precise, untouched 8 years later. If you made a mistake of that scale, wouldn't you at least delete the original claim? He didn't. Why? Did he still believe it deep down? Was he trying to play both sides? Or was there pressure behind the scenes? Pressure that made him retract but not delete? We don't know. But we know this, Eric Joyce is not a nobody. He was an elected UK lawmaker. He had relationships, which he also confirmed with Nigerian politicians, and he said Buhari was dead. Now, let's talk about the African Union. At the AU summit in Addis Ababa, Chadian President Idris Deby stood before a gathering of African leaders and called for a minute silence in memory of our late brother, Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari. It was said, it was also reported, and then, like everything else, it disappeared. We don't know what happened. Was it a diplomatic slip? Did Deby speak out of turn? Was it a mistaken identity? Or did something happen that needed to be covered? Because no one explained. No clarification came from Abuja, no retraction from the AU. Just another moment swept under the rug. Just like what happened in 2019 when Zara Buhari's own daughter, posted a very strange New Year message, smiling with her family in a photo she wrote. The one person who is supposed to be in this picture and isn't would have had the biggest smile, my Baba. She didn't say he is sick. She didn't say he is resting. She said he is not here, like he was already gone. Now, what was so about that post is that the Baba she was talking about was there in the picture. Now, ask yourself, if your father was very much alive, just out of frame or in another room, which in this case, the father was in the frame in the said picture that she posted, would you write that? Or would you post a normal Happy New Year and move on? And then there was Adams Oshomole, the man who once ran Nigeria's ruling party, stood before camera and said, if I am removed as APC chairman, I will tell Nigerians who is really in Aso Rock. That is not a political threat. That is a vague warning that someone was hiding something big. He said he do expose the truth. They clipped his wings and the truth stayed buried. And through all this, the government never bothered to answer directly, nor with fact, nor with medical record, nor with live videos of Buhari attending public functions in real time. Instead, they gave us the occasional photo, some pre-recorded clips, and a few written statements as if that was enough to silence the noise. It wasn't, because even now in 2025, we are still here asking the same questions. President Muhammadu Buhari has officially been declared dead, and the nation he once ruled is silent, confused, and strangely unshaken. Because deep down, a lot of Nigerians aren't surprised. In fact, for many, this feels like confirmation of what they have whispered for years. The idea that maybe, just maybe, he didn't die in 2025, maybe in 2017. And if that's true, or even partly true, then Nigeria has witnessed one of the biggest political deception in modern African history. But here is the thing. Even if he didn't die in 2017, even if the Jubilee from Sudan theory wasn't 100% accurate, the way the government responded makes everything suspicious. They didn't clarify, they didn't challenge the accusers, they didn't file lawsuits, they didn't go to court and demand that Kanu retract his statement. They let it sit, they let it grow, and now it has become part of our national memory, whether you believe it or not. The truth is, most Nigerians don't even care about body double or white conspiracy. What they care about is trust. Can we trust the people in power to tell us the truth? Can we trust our institution to protect the integrity of leadership? Can we trust that the person occupying the highest office in the land is exactly who we voted for? That is the biggest problem, because this is bigger than Buhari. It is about how easy it is to lie to Nigerians and get away with it. If the president could be absent for months and nobody asks questions, if his daughter could drop cryptic captions and the media ignores it, if AU If AU leaders could observe a minute of nobody followed up, then what else has been hidden from us? What else are we not being told? And let's not forget, Buhari wasn't a random minister or governor. He was the commander-in-chief, the so-called face of our democracy, the man sworn to uphold transparency and accountability. If there is ever a time when Nigeria deserved answer, it was then, and we got none. Instead, we got vague statements, cropped videos, pre-recorded addresses, photo ops with shadows and sunglasses, and now a quiet obituary from a London clinic. That is not just a failure of government, that is a failure of the people too, because for 8 years we let this slide. We stopped demanding the truth, we let rumor replace fact and silence replace accountability. And if we continue like this, we will raise a new generation that accepts political lies as normal, that believes democracy is just packaging, that doesn't even care who is really in charge. So let's be honest, maybe Nnamdi Kanu wasn't entirely right. Maybe Jubril was just a rumor that spiraled out of control. Maybe Buhari was alive all along, but here is the problem. The people who had the power to prove it never did. So this isn't about conspiracy, it is about clarity. This isn't about who died when. This is about what a government owes its people. And if Nigerians still have to guess, still have to wonder, still have to ask, did our go and no one told us, then that's not on Nnamdi Kanu, that's not on IPOB, that's not on social media, that's on the system, a system that has failed to be honest, that truth, failed to respect us enough to speak plainly. But unfortunately, this is our reality in Nigeria. We've been lied to before, but we don't have to get used to it. Let this be the last time a leader dies and we have to guess when. And that is it for you all, my people. I have a follow-up to this particular video and I will bring it as soon as possible. So please don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye.